The news is live on DSTV channel 279. We're also streaming across the world on Facebook at TV3 Ghana. Do join us with your thoughts and comments. Let's begin the bulletin from the camp of the largest opposition, NDC, as the NDC caucus in Parliament in a press statement has said it has noted with dismay a press statement from the Bank of Ghana dated August 9, 2023, which purports to respond to their press conference on the Bank of Ghana's 2022 published annual report and financial statement held on August 8, 2023. In the said statement, the Bank of Ghana, according to the NDC, attempts to shamelessly justify its recklessness and mismanagement, which resulted in the huge losses of 60.8 billion Ghana cedis and a negative equity of 55.1 billion it recovered in the year 2022. My colleague Martin Esiedudate has joined us via Zoom to throw more light on this particular statement that was released last night. Good morning, Martin. If you can hear me, what more have you been learning from the statement that has been released from the camp of the NDC?
Right, good morning. Asidiba, clearly the NDC is insistent that their position is clear and that the Bank of Ghana has actually misinformed the Ghanaian populace by going back to the same points they made in their first report, which indicated that they had made losses of 60 billion. Now, the NDC says that as it stands, the Bank of Ghana and the position of the NDC are totally at variance. They say the Bank of Ghana and the governors must resign. They go on to talk about, for instance, the $250 million headquarters which the Bank of Ghana intends to build or is currently building, and says that in this current times where the country's economy is struggling, that shouldn't even be part of the priorities of the Bank of Ghana and should have been aborted right from the onset to ensure that money is rechanneled into other profitable ventures for the economy. They go back to the point that, for instance, the Bank of Ghana's decision to print money in 2021 and 2022 for the government is one of the reasons why the economy is still struggling and cannot fathom why the Bank of Ghana would want to justify this decision. They make a point that throughout the responses that have been given by the Bank of Ghana from the first press statement they released, the second one, and this particular one, they don't even make mention of the head office they are building. They also don't make mention of the fact that they printed money, which is a position the NDC is reiterating, and say that these are even two key fundamentals for which the Bank of Ghana governor and his deputies should look upon that and resign. They have quoted figures which they believe are some of the infractions that the Bank of Ghana governor and his deputies have committed.
The individual
say that, for instance,
has to do with
yes,
the individual. All right, Martin, we know that the concluding part of the statement has also been raising some important questions there, and it says that their failed attempt to cite non-best practice as justification for the recklessness and mismanagement is most irresponsible, to say the least, and yet another reason why they should pack out of the Bank of Ghana immediately, which actually indicates that they're actually not really happy about the posturing from the Bank of Ghana. How does this stand to affect the bank?
Well, the position the NDC is pushing here is that the Bank of Ghana, in their two former press releases, indicated that it is not only the Bank of Ghana that has made losses, and they made reference to like the Swiss bank and about 3 other countries, including even the UK, saying that the UK central bank and then Switzerland also have also recorded losses. So they cannot say that it is only Ghana. But the NDC is saying that you cannot compare yourself to these other economies because they have stronger foundations, which is buttressing the economy. For which reason, if even they are recording losses, they have significant reasons in place that can help them show up some good finances to run their central bank. For Bank of Ghana, they are saying that the books do not look good, and they are staying by their stand that the governor and his 2 deputies should leave.
All right, that's my colleague Martin Esiedudate giving us breakdown on the statement that was released yesterday from the NDC regarding issues of the Bank of Ghana. Away from that, the ECOWAS has insisted it will use force if required to restore democratic rule in Niger after a meeting of ECOWAS heads of state in Abuja. Now, ECOWAS Commission President Omar Aliyu Toure laid out the decision made by the heads of state by the president. Let's take a listen at that.
The Committee of the Chief of Defense Staff to activate the ECOWAS standby force with all its elements immediately. Order the deployment of the ECOWAS standby force to restore constitutional order in the Republic of Niger. Underscore its continued commitment to the restoration of constitutional order through peaceful means.
Still on the back of this, ECOWAS has insisted it will use force if required to restore democratic rule in Niger after a meeting of ECOWAS heads of state in Abuja, I beg your pardon. But experts have been reacting to this, where they have been saying that the regional group lacks the capability to carry out an effective military operation. Security expert Mutaru Mumune Mukhtar and Colonel Festus Abuaje has also been speaking on the back of this.
That we have heard from ECOWAS today appears unhelpful. It appears they have escalated, the challenges relating to dealing with the Nigerian situation by emphasizing the use of military approach to dealing with the situation. They have gone beyond just generally saying they would resort to military approach to actually asking for the immediate, activation of the ECOWAS standby force, which in my opinion does not help in terms of negotiations and dealing with the military leadership in Niger. And so we need to look at it, walk away from this path of threat and the use of military intervention as a threat to get the military leaders to succumb to the directives of ECOWAS. Otherwise, this is not going to be helpful in terms of the negotiations that they are seeking to have with the military leadership in place.
There's a military doctrine, it's very general, that any army that is launching an offensive operation against somebody who is defending must have a force ratio of 3-1. Now, I checked some time back. The Niger army is about 5,000, excluding a small air force. They have the gendarme, you have the police. I think they have some militia. So the army alone is 5,000. Let's say that the Nigerian armed forces, together with the police, all together are 7,500. So ECOWAS must be thinking of upward of 22,000. We don't have that. We only on paper have 6,500. So we need to wait and hear from the member states how many of which type of forces that member states are going to contribute. We need about 3 categories of forces, actually more. We need the combat troops, those who do the fighting, normally drawn from the army with the rifles centered on the infantry. We need combat support, the artillery, the armored, the engineers, the signals, communications, and so on. Then we need the combat support, those who run the vehicles and fuel them and maintain them, the food that we're going to eat, the medical health support facilities. But we need to move with the hospital beyond what we have, small elements of a hospital in a battalion. It takes time. And these resources, because we are going to launch an expedition, do not exist in our member states. We need probably quickly to find them, like mobile hospitals and so on, and make them part. We may have weapons on our inventory or inventories, but we may not have the ammunition. Because in reality, no army has all the ammunition that they need to go to war. They maintain it at a certain level. Now we need to ramp it up. And because we don't manufacture these types of ammunitions in Africa or in West Africa, we need to place orders. And the orders might take a bit of time, before they arrive. So all said and done, the mobilization of this force, in the words of activation, it's not a 1-day or 9-day wonder. It's going to take time. Right. And I don't think that we're talking of maybe a month or 2. My yardstick is that when America was going to Iraq, it took them 100 days. That was what I think General Schwarzkopf or Colin Powell or whoever told his principal, that I cannot go in. I need to get my forces ready. And I hope our generals will have that moral authority to tell the politicians that don't be in a hurry. Because there's a risky venture. If you don't plan well, you don't prepare well, and you go in, you will suffer casualties.
Away from security, let's talk LGBTQ. The U.S. ambassador to Ghana, Virginia Palmer, says Ghana will send a wrong signal to investors if it goes ahead to pass any laws that discriminate against the LGBTQ community. Ghana's anti-LGBTQ bill is at the consideration stage to, among others, criminalize the promotion, advocacy, funding, and acts of homosexuality.
Ghana is a very welcoming, tolerant society. Lots of interreligious harmony, a lot of interethnic harmony, and that makes Ghana strong and stable and attractive for investment. I hope it stays that way with regard to the LGBT community. And again, there's money to be made. You know, the color of your money is green or red if it's Ghanaian. But if there is discrimination or worse, then that will send a signal to not just LGBT investors and exporters, but the other American companies that Ghana is less welcoming than I'm telling people that it is now. So I hope it will stay welcoming.
The U.S. has already threatened aid cuts and other sanctions, including visa restrictions against Ugandan officials. Ambassador Palmer fears any law that is hostile to the LGBT community has a likelihood to affect trade relations between the two countries. Out of the 54 African countries, 22 of them have legalized homosexuality, including South Africa, Botswana, Gabon, Angola, and Mauritius.
We will be getting more answers on the back of this in subsequent bulletins. The Office of the Special Prosecutor has confirmed seizing over 2 million cedis and $590,000 from the residence of former Sanitation Minister Cecilia Abnadapa. The revelation was captured in court documents filed by the Special Prosecutor seeking to affirm and prolong the freeze of assets of the embattled former minister. My colleague Eric Mawena Egbeta has been studying the documents and reports.
As confirmed by court documents, the Office of the Special Prosecutor has frozen the account of former Sanitation Minister Cecilia Abnadapa. What is becoming evident is that all 7 accounts belonging to the former minister with both Societe Generale Ghana Limited and Prudential Bank Ghana Limited have significant amounts of money which cannot be touched or accessed by the former minister. What has been revealed further in these documents by the Office of the Special Prosecutor currently in court is that bank accounts with Prudential Bank Ghana Limited, up to 4 separate accounts exist with different sums of money in both cedis and in dollars. With Societe Generale Ghana Limited, up to 3 bank accounts exist in the name of Cecilia Abnadapa with cedis investment and some cash resting comfortably. What the court documents further confirm in relation to ongoing investigation by the Office of the Special Prosecutor is that the search at the 3 residential homes of Cecilia Abnadapa in July of this year indeed discovered a lot more cash. According to the documents, the officers of the Special Prosecutor discovered up to $590,000 in hard cash and up to 2.7 million cedis in hard cash as well at the Abelemkpe residence of the former minister. What this means is it does confirm the reportage we brought to you here at TV3 of a lot more money found in the home of the former minister. What awaits now is the hearing, which is scheduled on the 17th of August of this year, for a determination as to whether or not the Financial Division of the Accra High Court will continue to give the Special Prosecutor the authority to have these 7 accounts frozen until investigations are done.
Away from the capital Accra, the Northeast Regional Secretariat of NADMO has advised the inhabitants of the region to be on the alert and be ready to move to higher grounds following the flash floods. NADMO say it is monitoring the situation and working with the regional, municipal and district security councils to ensure prompt response to any emergency, as well as issues on regular updates regarding the flooding. All road users traveling to Nanlerigu from other parts of the region and beyond are advised to be cautious as the bridges between Tinguri and Gbani have all collapsed. The Nazia, Perugu and Mimina road has also been affected by the heavy floods, making the roads unmotorable. Government is being called upon to invest in the community mining scheme to make it attractive and sustainable. According to some Western region community mining groups, they are struggling to survive while some have ceased operations in mining communities.
In July 2019, launched the community mining program at Wassa Ekropon in the Amenfi East municipality of the Western region, to, among other things, help formalize mining in selected communities across the country and eradicate illegal mining by providing employment opportunities for the youth. But a visit to some of these community mining sites has led to some rather startling revelations. 2 community mining groups in the Amenfi East municipality have ceased operations, whilst another at Ahanta West is struggling to survive. Our first port of call was at Wassa Bordier, commissioned by the President in July 2019. The miners had abandoned the site with all the grounding machines removed. Weeds had taken over the land. A transformer mounted here by the Electricity Company of Ghana for the operations of the site had also been taken away.
Before these samples, we were working smoothly, but after erecting this, we don't used to get money as it was. So the sponsors have decided to not work here again.
He is appealing to the big mining companies to give out some of their pits which are not in use for community mining. Frederick Crunchy is the municipal chief executive for Wassa Amenfi East.
Community mining is also it's operating like the Galamsey that people don't do proper geological work. We don't do any test work. You just by just mere fact that maybe somebody was working here, so they will be good there. Then you do your plan and everything, they give you the approval, you set up the structures, and then you start the mining. The government have to spend more by doing detailed geological work in certain areas, market that this area is viable and it is meant for community mining. When you go to other countries, that is what they do.
Meanwhile, Frederick Kumar, speaking on sustaining community mining in the country, says government needs to invest more as it is capital intensive.
One of the major problems with the community mining scheme is lack of financial backing or support for these community miners. And most of these people are local people who have something small in their hands and they want to earn something to take care of families. But it's also a capital intensive initiative. Some of the miners can dig for 2 years without getting the rock that they need to work.
He believes the government can make money from this if much attention is paid to it.
Let's do some international news now. Police in Nigeria's Central Plateau State say at least 21 people have been killed in separate attacks on 2 villages. 17 people were shot dead when gunmen stormed the community in Bakin Ladi early on Thursday. At least 4 died a short time later in a similar attack nearby. The killings come despite an ongoing military operation aimed at stemming attacks that have killed several hundreds of people since May. Civil society groups blame ethnic Fulani herders for the killings, which they say are aimed at displacing indigenous farming communities so the herders can seize their land. It is unclear if Fulani groups have commented on the accusations or not.